Alfonso, have you met Pam before?
I have not.
You
Hi,
guys met?
Pam.
And
Hi, Alfonso. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
there's
Which
Dana.
office are you in?
Right now I am at Tellytown. Oh, yeah, Tellytown today.
Would you say? Oh, okay.
Tellytown.
Nice.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
she's
And
she's
then Dana is in our legacy. She's with us in legacy. And
Nice.
then
Hi, Dana. Welcome.
Hello, I got my Friday hair on. Woo!
that's all right. We like Friday
We
hair.
like that. Nothing like Friday hair, Friday clothes.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Hi, Kalana. You were there with Alfonso.
Today.
you were muted.
Oh,
You were muted. We didn't hear
Yeah,
I
you.
was muted. Oh, hi, good afternoon. Yeah,
Hello,
Alfonso Black here
hello.
down here
Hi.
today.
Yep, and there's Dennis coming in. All right.
Yeah, this morning, Kirsten, Harmony and I filmed the update from when I started to now. So that's why we were in the office.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah, and then her and I are going to film for the group webinar next week.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Content, content, content.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
All right. Well, everybody here, if you are able to turn your cameras on, we love that. It's just so hard when you're the one teaching and you only see little boxes with people's names. A smiling face is so much nicer. So I'd appreciate it
Mhm.
if you don't have your camera on, if you could turn it on. Pam Vroman is here with Direct Mortgage Loans. She's a great lender and she is really going to give us some good information today about lead generation specifically, which might not sound like a lender thing. You might be saying, a lender, lead generation? What's this about? So I'm going to let her tell you, and she's got some slides, and I'll be sharing her contact info in the chat, and I'll put it in the recording later as well. All right, take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. As Kristen mentioned, my name's Pam Vroman. I am a loan officer and branch manager with Direct Mortgage Loans. I've been in the industry for 24 years, so I'm aging myself a bit, but I have loved this industry from the moment that I've gotten into it, and I've loved the marketing and sales aspect of it. So yeah, lenders are definitely a big part of that, and I hope you get a lot out of today's class. So we are a local lender. We're based in Hunt Valley, Maryland. I have partnered with Keller Williams for probably the last 13 years. So I have been a lender partner inside of multiple Keller Williams offices. I've been to your family reunions. I've been to Mega Camp. So I know, love, and speak the Keller Williams language and know a lot about your trainings and support that you have that benefits you as newer agents. So are you able to see my screen there with the little picture of me showing up? Is that there with the slides?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Alfonso. Um, so first, we're going to kind of start off just kind of chatting through how to scrub a lead and also handling maybe some rebuttals that you may hear from people if they're interested in buying a home. So one of my favorite classes that Keller Williams hosts is called Bold. If you haven't heard of that, it really teaches you to just put yourself out there, ask for business, and always be marketing, really. The class has you on like a trajectory of talking to, what is it, 100 people, and what's the time frame when you have to hit 100? Is it like that week or something before the
Yes,
next class,
it's
or?
100 people every week. So between classes, you do
Yeah,
100. But there's also something called a bold 100, and I've done it. That's where you
yeah.
have 100 conversations in one day. It's called a bold 100. Yep,
What?
yep,
Yeah,
yep. And it's
yeah.
doable. I have done it. You can do it. It just takes some
I love it.
preparation and it's tiring.
It is exhausting. You're like, how could you do this every day? But it is the best class if you ever have the opportunity to take it. It's amazing. So I love, love, love that class. I will tell people that are even at other brokerages, like, you don't have to be a Colorado agent to take this class. This class is incredible. So yeah, so just to kind of dive into scrubbing leads, talking to clients about purchasing. So when you are putting yourself out there, I will share with you some of the rebuttals that you will hear. So one of them may be, I don't want to talk to a lender because I don't want to have my credit pulled. Well, we as lenders these days, we always start with a soft pull unless they're like going right into putting in an offer. So the soft pull has no impact on their credit. So we essentially can help get them pre-qualified without any downside. So having that conversation with us, it takes like 10 to 15 minutes. It's not overwhelming or intimidating. And it really, again, there's no downside because we don't need to impact credit. So you will hear that often. Also, you may hear people say, well, I just paid off some things on my credit card, so I want to wait because of that. Well, when we look at a credit report, there's a tool where we can see, okay, if this credit card or these items were paid off, this is what it will do to the score. So therefore, we don't essentially need to wait because we can improve the score and have those items be reflected as paid off. So that could be another item or another rebuttal that you provide. Another thing that you'll often hear is, I'm going to wait for interest rates to come down. Well, I have news for the rest of the world. Interest rates right now are really sort of the mid-range of where they've been in the last 30 years. They're actually a hair below that. So waiting for interest rates, I first and foremost would absolutely love for them to come down, but I truly don't see that they're going to come down significantly. And waiting will cost you more than what the rate would save you. So, I think that the truth of when you should buy is when it's right for you. I don't have a pushy mentality for any of my clients. So if it's right for them and they can afford to do so, it's good for their family. I think that's when the timing is right, not trying to work around interest rates. The truth is that when interest rates were in the threes during COVID, the market was horrendous. Buyers could not get a home inspection. They had to waive inspections, appraisals. There were lines wrapped around the door at open houses. It was just really not a good time to be in the market. And really, again, the rates are really normal. So that could sort of be your rebuttal that, like, we'd all love for rates to come down, but you could be waiting a lifetime for them to get there. So those are going to be some of the rebuttals. Then once you have a person that's excited to buy, the one thing as a newer agent is that you'll want to learn to sort of scrub the lead to see if they have an opportunity to purchase. The truth is that not everyone is prepared to be a buyer. Some people are, just simply not in a place financially to do so. And recognizing that is important. And finding the right buyers. But we never want to rule anyone out. We are in the industry of being creative and finding opportunities, but we want to do some initial scrubbing just to see if they have a chance to get there. So one thing you'll want to kind of just look for would be, do they have a rough sense of where their credit scores are? So, hey, do you have a rough idea of where your scores are? If they're like, oh, it's in the 540s. Okay, well, it sounds like we have a little bit of work to do. Do you know what's impacting your scores? Have you thought about what it would take to improve them? Some people know, oh, okay, well, I had a bankruptcy last year. You could check with your lender partner. Okay, they had a Chapter 7 in 2025. Okay, that person can buy 2 years out. How about I follow up with you in August of 2027? So, you're going to want to lean on your lender partners for all these different indicators about when people can buy, but asking those probing questions is a good idea. We never want you to be the lender or dive too deep into this, but having a rough sense can be important. If they say they have somewhat of a credit score, I would say below 580, you'd probably want to say, oh, do you have a rough sense of what's impacting credit, to try to gauge when a good time is to follow up with them. If they know, okay, I had a bankruptcy this time, or I have credit cards that are maxed out, that can give you an indication of when to follow up. If they have credit cards that are maxed out, as soon as they're able to pay those off, usually about a month or two after, they probably will see their credit get boosted right away. So if they're at a 560 because scores are maxed out and they say, oh, by the end of August, I can pay these off, you'd probably want to follow up with them in October. So that's what I'd recommend there. If they state that they have between, say, a 580 to 640, generally speaking, they're going to want to have at least $7,000 to $10,000 in savings. Those lower score borrowers are not going to typically be able to access down payment assistance programs. So you may want to just check and say, okay, awesome, 580 to 640, somewhere in that range. Do you have some savings for down payment and closing costs? If they're like, no, I have $500, I'm trying to save up, I'd say, okay, awesome. When do you think you can get to a point where you have, between $5,000 to $10,000 or getting your credit score up there as well? Sort of like, so that would be your time frame of when to maybe check in with them. Now, if you think they want to have a conversation, sometimes people are like, I just want to talk to a lender and ask some questions before diving, if they know they're not ready, but they want to talk to us, always send them over. We love to have those conversations, and we're going to want to follow up with them as well. Now, if they have above a 640 credit score, we can at times get people approved with very little money out of pocket. And so I generally look for at least $2,500 for their earnest money deposit, their home inspection, and appraisal. So if their scores are higher, we don't really need a ton of money to purchase. And even this $2,500 honestly could be a gift or money that they save up while we're under contract, some of it. So if we have a higher score, we can get by with a low amount of money. But if you hear that they're like, I had one last week, it was like the person, they had a 540 score and $100. I was like, this lead should have been scrubbed more. This person is struggling, they're just not in a place to purchase. But can we nurture them? Are they still a person that we want to help down the road? Absolutely. Another thing you may want to check in is, mentioning that lenders look for a 2-year employment. However, there are exceptions to most rules in mortgage banking you'll find. Let's say they were in school and they just graduated in January, and now they're starting to work as a nurse in February. Boom, we can use their schooling as work history. Also, you're going to ask some probing questions, but you don't want to take too much of a deep dive. Also, bear in mind that there are sometimes different opportunities for co-signers and other things that could help someone qualify. So let's say the person's like, I'm not working right now. It's like, okay, well, do you have someone else that could go on the loan with you? Generally speaking, if someone wants to purchase, they have the means to pay for it. And, hopefully we can find a way to make it work is where we try to lean towards. Alfonso, did you have a question? I thought I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how does the process go if you have a client that switched jobs and got, maybe had a break for a month, but then ended up making more money? How?
Yeah, so it depends on their situation. There's lots of intricacies to mortgage banking, but generally speaking, changing job in itself is not a problem. Now, if they were W-2 and now they went to 1099, sometimes there could be, but generally speaking, if they're making more, they're staying in the same line of work, usually that's a good thing and something that, that's not a problem. Yep. And one thing that I'll mention also in that regards to changing jobs, credit, all those things is that keep in mind that all lenders have different products, different things. We're sort of like the mall of lending. If we can't do it, I usually say it probably can't be done. But if they were told that they couldn't get a loan, let's say by like a credit union or bank, they're a little more cookie cutter. So I do think you'll find opportunities where you can say, hey, let's get a second set of eyes. Again, we can do a soft pull and we may be able to help them get approved. So, that's one thing you'll see that's important in the industry is having, good partners that can sometimes work through difficult situations. So just kind of something to keep in your back pocket there. So just some things with scrubbing the lead, never using judgment, not just check boxes, creativity matters. And again, not every lead is meant to buy today. That's why I think Kristen and I thought this was a good class, is like, we're going to talk about scrubbing the lead, and realize not everybody is ready to buy, but let's get more leads, right? Let's keep prospecting for more buyers that are candidates. Like, you're going to run into the people that can't purchase. I would say probably 25% of my applicants aren't qualified, but the more people you have, the more closings that you'll have. So now I'm just going to dive into some prospecting strategies. This is my favorite topic. So one thing that you can lead with are mortgage products. So I'm going to kind of just pivot over to sort of my flip book of mortgage products that we offer, because these are ways to market yourself. So I'm not going to bore you with too much of this, but this is essentially kind of different solutions of mortgages that you could market and promote. to bring in more buyers. So FHA, conventional, jumbo, VA, USDA, those are sort of your standard mortgage products. The top right box talks about renovation and construction loans. So if you're marketing yourself on social media, things like that, it's great to kind of talk about loan products that not everyone is aware of. And not most people don't know that you could purchase a home and get money from the mortgage to actually renovate it. That's one of my favorite mortgage products. And any of these graphics that I'm going to breeze through, I can create as co-branded flyers for you to put on social media. So again, a great way to promote yourself. Next, I'll dive into non-QM and MMP products. So again, I'm going to just breeze through this. Here's sort of your Reno flyer that talks about the different Reno loans. We offer a VA, conventional, FHA, and USDA. We also offer an investor renovation loan. I think this is great to attract investors. I'm an investor myself, and this product is phenomenal. So I love investors for agents because it's almost like you have residual income if you get the right one, because they're always looking to buy a house. So this is a really strong product that I would love for you to promote. Second mortgage line of credits. I had a girlfriend the other day say, "Hey, Pam, I want to buy an investment property. Can you show me how I could do that?" I was like, well, you could take out some money from the equity in your current home to use as down payment to buy an investment property. Here is an investment property that has good profit. This is what that could look like. So again, mortgage products are marketing. This one sort of talks about what we call non-qualified mortgages. I won't take a deep dive into this, but let's say you have a self-employed person who writes off a lot of their income. We can qualify them with unique financing, such as basing it off of their bank statement deposits. Next, I think this is probably the number one way to promote loan programs, which is down payment assistance and grant programs. When you say, I work with the state of Maryland's down payment assistance program that gives 5% towards purchasing, or they have a program that pays off student loan debt, or I work with a program that helps disabled buyers and gives them up to $45,000 towards purchasing a home, people will want to talk to you, I promise you. So all of these programs I could help you with. We work with the Baltimore City programs. DC has like a crazy amount of money, like 200,000. Frederick, Gaithersburg, Hagerstown, Harford County has 20,000. Howard County has 40,000. PG has 50,000, and Montgomery County has 50,000. So free money is definitely a phenomenal way to get people to talk to you about buying a home. So that's probably one of the best things. I'll breeze through. This is more intricacies about condos. I won't bore you with that. Bridge loans are an option. So, showing a seller a way that they could purchase a new home first without having to be contingent or selling their departing home could be a suggestive way to get them to start thinking like, oh, I could make this happen. So this is what's called a bridge loan, and that's a good option. So I'm going to go back to my other slides there. But again, mortgage products are a great way to market yourself. Already kind of went over those. Prospecting strategy number 2, mining your database. So I love the bold 100, like how many contacts do you make? I have a coach just like Kirsten is, and one of the things that I try to hit each week are a number of dials, a number of calls to agent partners and past clients. So it always amazes me when I try to hit a particular number that when I push myself, it's like those last 5 or 10 calls are where I connect with someone that I probably should have called on months ago. So it works, it is a contact sport, this industry. So calling those people and putting them into your CRM and dripping to them is important. Again, being outgoing and bold. I don't know if you've ever met William Savage, but I've heard a joke that he at a red light will like say to people, hey, do you want to buy or sell real estate? And I think he's gotten leads that way. So it works. The size of your database is always going to show the amount of your success. So adding people to your CRM can feel really daunting when you first start off, but I promise you it is one of the best things you can do for your career. All right, prospecting strategy 3 and 4, circle prospecting and open houses. Have any of you guys done open houses yet? Have you shadowed anyone? Awesome. Okay, I love those. I think the biggest thing that I see with open houses is to convert is the follow-up. putting the names in your database and continuing to call them. Someone you may see this Sunday, they may not buy for like 6 months. They may have just dipped their toe in it. So it's all about that staying in touch. Circle prospecting for homes that have just sold. I heard an agent say that what they'll do is they'll call people in the neighborhood and be like, hey, I have a buyer that's looking to buy in your neighborhood. Do you know of anyone that's looking to sell? And that's how he'll dig up sales. Now, he really doesn't have a buyer. It's sort of a white lie, but I was like, I love that strategy. It's a great way to get sales. So again, be bold, and the follow-up is huge. Prospecting strategy number 5, which is build strategic partners. So partnering with lenders, divorce attorneys, financial advisors, and builders. I think it's sort of a misnomer that, we as lenders, we have leads ourselves. Divorce attorneys, if you can get in with someone there. Financial advisors, I will say the great thing about a financial advisor is if you get in with them, their word is gold to their clients. If they say, go with Alfonso, go with Michelle to buy a home, they're going to listen to their financial advisor. They really take their advice that deeply. So those are great partners. Builders, I know that's a great strategy if you can get in with them. Strategic partners can feed a steady stream of qualified introductions. Monthly home buying seminars are something that I host. I host them via Zoom once a month. And I recently did one with Michelle I see is on the call today. And these are a great way to get bodies in the room, to get in front of people, show them, educate them. It's also a great way, once you get a big database, I have some monthly seminars to kind of cultivate some of my dead leads that haven't purchased, to stay in touch with them. I'll get a call like 2 months from now from someone that didn't attend the seminar, but they just got that touch from me. And they were like, hey, Pam, I saw your seminar. I wasn't able to make it, but I'm now ready to buy a house, blah, blah, blah. So just a touch a lot of times. So just a great way to attract new buyers and also pull people out of your sphere. So we market our home buying seminars on social media. So if you are interested in like a spend there, that's also a great way to bring in some leads. Six is geo farming and online leads. So farming is typically for just sold or market updates. I think the thing with that, and Kirsten, you may want to add to this a bit more. With farming, I see is you just have to be really consistent for quite a long time. It's a lot of strategies in real estate are the long game. It's like I have a loan officer I follow who's really successful on YouTube. She has like crazy amount of followers. And I messaged her and I was like, hey, Jen, like, what did you do to build up your YouTube business? And she's like, it took 4 years. I was like, oh my gosh, years. I was like, wow. So I think farming, maybe not 4 years, but it's definitely the kind of thing where you stick to a strategy and stay with it for a long time.
We always tell people it won't generate business probably for a year, at least a year, and you have to be there every single month at least. They need to see your face. But if you stick to it, that's a great strategy.
Yeah, and then that and a combination of other lead generation sources, the more the merrier. So why not?
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. And what I see a lot of times with people who are farming, they're going to say, let's say like my neighborhood, they're like, I'm going to farm there, then I'm going to get a sale there. They just start dominating that entire neighborhood where it's like, that's the agent for the neighborhood. Like people feel like they can't use anyone else. And I've seen that in my own neighborhood, So I think it's the kind of thing where you just stick with it. And it may be where you live or close by or something like that, or where you've had a sale and you just build off of that momentum. They've seen you had a great sale, it went well, you brag about it, you put out the postcards, you use circle prospecting, you host your open houses. It's like they know you now. You have a Kona truck, all the things, all those strategies pay off. Another strategy, of course, are Zillow, Realtor.com, Facebook ads. There's YLOPO. I know there's a lot of pay at the settlement ones. There's a lot of different strategies. I think the thing I would share with Zillow, Realtor.com, and those paid leads is that you really have to nurture them, and speed to lead is everything. So you really have to sort of have a good plan structure to tackle these so that you get your return on your investment, which can be tougher. So awesome. Let's see. Prospecting strategy number 7, niche targeting. So focus messaging on a specific audience instead of trying to speak to everyone. So I think boil down to different niches such as first-time buyers, like the first-time buyer programs, investors. Like if you want to work with investors, that's definitely a different niche that you can go after. Relocation clients, also maybe clients that are downsizing. I've seen a lot of agents, let's say I have someone in the Columbia KW office, she specifically works with seniors. So she's become an expert in that area and really targets that. I think that you can start branding yourself in those different ways where then if someone Googles, senior friendly agents, that they'll find you. I tell the story that I was at a Photos with Santa KW event in Ellicott City, and one of the clients I was just chatting with, and I was like, oh, how did you find Ellie? How did you end up finding her as your agent? She was from out of state, and she's like, I Googled VA friendly realtor. I was like, what? I was like, everybody's a VA friendly realtor. But she had branded herself as working with veterans. And when she Googled her, that's who came up because she had done that type of, marketing and branding for her business, which I just thought was kind of so simple, but it worked apparently. Also, you can practice specialized outreaches to, say, nurses, police officers, firefighters, and similar groups. I have an agent friend who we created some flyers pertaining to the down payment assistance program I spoke about earlier that is through the Maryland State Administration. And we put the flyers in the firehouses, and we brought a box of snacks that the flyers were sort of in the back of the box. So every month we would fill up the snacks and come in and meet the firemen and everyone that worked there. And we closed transactions off of it. I mean, we spent $100 on snacks, and we closed 2 transactions. And I think we did it for maybe 3 months, to be honest. I don't think she continued with it for very long, but those things work. Trust me, they want the snacks. They will welcome you. It's just putting yourself out there, putting in the effort. I think that's the thing that I love about our industry is that the people that succeed are the ones that work hard. What you put into it is what you get out of it. We also have an alliance with the FOP. So if you wanted to get into police precincts or stations, we surely could help there because we already have this sort of alliance with them. I know a lot of loan officers and agents that we align with have brought pizza, donuts, snacks, the same thing to police officers, or really any group. If you have an in at an HR department and can, sponsor a lunch and learn because that person that works in HR, that's always something that I could help you with. We could do a sort of mini home buying seminar, bring them lunch. The larger the audience you get in front of, the more likely you are to get leads. So, and then I think also it does come down to being purposeful, right? So, when you do those lunch and learns, making sure that you get the contact information, put it in your CRM and follow up. I remember when I started off my career, I would do something like that, but then I don't know that my follow-up was always key. So now it's if I host this event, we are going to close the deal off of this and we're going to get the contact information, we're going to follow up. So I think that's something that I'll share that I sort of learned along the way. Number 8 is daily discipline wins. So I mentioned that I have a coach, time blocking with prospecting so that it happens every week. Do you guys have prospecting time blocks that you try to dedicate to each week? I know some of you may be dual career. That is the biggest part of my success in the industry is time blocking. You can really get bogged down with minutia in our industry. So being I'm going to prospect for 2 hours, this amount of days, I'm going to post 3 social media videos, I'm going to send 10 thank you cards, I'm going to do whatever that is that you give yourself as a goal. I will share, I don't hit my goal every week. I'm probably behind this week, which means I'll have to work on Saturday. But If you give yourself a goal, I think it shows you just, how your productivity was that week, which is huge. I will say I try to do 10 thank you or birthday cards a week. And that really, I don't know if it feels good, but people really love the handwritten card. It really does make a difference. So when they get something like that from you, it takes me like 15 minutes and people are like, thank you so much for the card. And I'll see them sitting on their desk. Like little stuff like that it matters. And track what's working. So like I'll show you my little sheet. It's right here of my number of calls. So I track it every week so I can tell what my productivity was. I turn it into my coach. I love to be held accountable, and I think it surely matters and shows you actually what you're getting accomplished when it comes to prospecting. Kristen, do you guys do anything like that within the coaching? Do you have like something they turn in?
Yeah, so it depends on, so we have for some people choose to join a separate group called Fast Track to Cap. And with Fast Track
Okay,
to
yeah, I remember
Cap,
that.
then there are like everybody has, we do 50 conversations a week. We track it. They're meeting. We have a weekly meet. We have all that. And then other agents who have not gotten into Fast Track to Cap yet, it just depends on the agent, like whether we're doing that or not.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
And for
that's
anybody
great.
who is in my coaching group, if you coach with me and you are interested in Fast Track to Cap, I open it to new members every 12 weeks. So we just started a session, but in about 10 weeks, it'll be open again for new people to join. If anybody wants that extra accountability and that extra push, I see the agents who join that really do end up pushing themselves more just because of not just me holding them accountable, but they hold each other accountable. Do you know what I mean? And they're in that group, and it
Yeah,
makes a big
yeah,
difference. Yeah.
yeah. I always say, like, even when I go to the gym, I
Yeah.
work a little harder because there's like, I work out in a group or whatever. And I'm like, okay, is it the coach? Is it the other people? If I do it at home, I'm like, no one's paying attention that I was like, 29 minutes versus 45. It works for me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so lender partnerships. So here's sort of like where we can help. So we're here to support your business. So when it comes to these marketing efforts, I mentioned like flyers, co-branded content, the home buying seminars. I am, looking to partner with people who want to co-host those with me. We do the marketing. All you got to do is show up for an hour and a half on Zoom with me. So that's where lender partners are key. Also, just utilizing your lender partner as sort of someone to lean on when it comes to questions, scenarios. You'll find that as you're in the industry and doing business, you're going to have a lot of questions, and sometimes you need those really quickly or creatively. So having that access to someone that's on the ball is really helpful. Having those partnerships can offer better service and stronger follow-up. So I have an agent friend who does a lot of open houses. And I was like, Nick, just share with me your open house leads. If I can cultivate and bring it in and bring it back to you, let's follow up with them together. We have a lot of drip campaigns. So I do have a lot of agents who will share leads back and forth that aren't even super strong leads because we're going to hope to nurture them together versus them just doing it on their own. So that's where that alliance can come in a lot of different ways. So we're here. We want to support you. We're in this together with you. And, we always are trying to find ways that we can help your business grow.
I'm glad that you said that about the partnership because one of my buyers, she's a first-time home buyer, and she gets stressed every day about the underwriting, the process, as far as moving money. And I'm like, hey, you can call me just as much as you can call the lender. We're all here in the same capacity. We just all have different areas of expertise where we can help you to talk you from not jumping off the
Right.
ledge. So I'm glad you said it about the partnership.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are. And we really are a team, and that's where it's like having that, sort of camaraderie, and where the lender is also making sure when we get the lead from you per se, that we're promoting you, selling you back to the client when you've given them to us. It's like, oh, Alfonso's amazing. how long have you known him? Did you get to meet him in person yet? You're going to love working with him. So that's definitely something I always try to make sure we're doing as well is selling you back to them, and that we're aligning like that. Yeah.
We're gonna chat
And
after
Pam,
because I'll have a client for you. We're gonna talk, Pam, please.
Okay. Awesome.
and I wanted
Hey,
to say,
Michelle.
Pam, hey, Pam, I wanted to let everybody know Pam does have a team of people that work on her. So your client will be in good hands. If Pam can't get you at Nate and some other ones, so Pam does have people in the background doing all the follow up. Your client might not get the answer they think they're going to get in the beginning, but as long as they keep pushing and follow what Pam and her team ask them to do, they can be in a property.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that, Michelle. And like the thing with like sort of what you'll see, like the purpose of agents, lenders having teams is speed to lead, right? So if right now an agent sends me a lead while I'm on this meeting and they want to put in an offer in right away, someone in the background, in fact, that's probably going on is like helping them get there faster. So speed to getting to taking care of someone is really important in our industry, and that's sort of where that comes into play. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Any questions? Anybody have questions? I love what you put together here because this is really, some great inspiration for lead generation and for prospecting. And, you know, I put Pam's contact info in the chat. So definitely reach out to her to
I
see.
already emailed her.
Oh, good.
Honestly, this entire presentation felt like you were not just supporting us from the mortgage perspective. You sound like a coach and
Yeah,
a
Yeah,
yeah,
gem. So thank
yeah.
you.
That's
I needed
awesome.
Oh,
this.
thank you.
I
Yeah,
emailed you.
love this. Love
yeah.
this.
Uh, Also, Pam, is it possible for us to have this slide after, where we can
Oh,
go to it and to review it and try to, because it's go a little bit faster.
sure.
I have to.
You know what? If you want to send it to me, I can attach it when I put the recording. And then you guys can
Thank you very
download it
much.
Okay.
on the coaching platform. Does that sound good? That's probably the
Yeah,
easiest thing
that's
to
good.
do.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Thank you
And
very much, Kristen.
you bet. And Pam, I'm going to send you everybody's email who came in today too.
That would be amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But people
Thank
who
you
watch the
very much.
recording later, I want them to see it too. So if yeah.
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 Pam, I
Awesome.
did have one other question, Pam. Did you go over,
Okay.
because I
Sure.
missed a little bit, did you go, because I know you sent me in the text how asking those important questions, do you have this amount of money saved up just for the basics? So
Yeah.
I've been using those questions, that question you sent to me, so now I'm able to feel people who are really truly have that money and the basic piece ready before I call you and harass you and then find out they're not ready.
Yeah, we did. That was one of the first slides. So usually, where we say is if they have over a 640, that we want to have somewhere between the 2,000 to 2,500 just for the basic essentials of earnest money, inspection, and appraisal. If they're like I said, I had someone last week who's like, I'm struggling. I've got $100. It's like, we're not ready yet. And if they have below, say, a 640, you're going to need probably between 7 and 10,000 because they're going to have to cover their down payment and closing their sale. So that's where you see lower scores take a little more money. But then it's also like, oh, do you know what's pulling down your score? Sometimes if people have some cash and their credit cards are maxed out, you can get their score to go up really quickly. But then sometimes there's more heftier items that have affected credit, like the bankruptcy I spoke on, where it's like, oh, we're locked in. We don't really have a solution. We're going to have to wait just a longer time frame. And just recognizing truthfully that, not everyone is in a position to buy. So cultivating more leads. I always say that more leads solves all problems in our industry. So if you've got more qualified buyers, you know, everything else kind of wipes itself away.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Looks like Marie has one
Okay,
last question.
Yeah, I have a question, Pamela. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. It's very interesting and very helpful. Yeah, I have a client,
you're
and
more than
then
welcome.
she's telling me that she want to postpone to buy a house because she bought a car. What can I say to her? She says
So
she bought
purchasing
a
a
car, and then
yeah, so
she doesn't
purchase
think that she can be qualified now for buying a home because she just bought a car. So
yeah, so purchasing a car in itself, wouldn't be disqualifying, and waiting 2 or 3 years, you're still going to have the car loan. So, what I would probably recommend saying, well, if you are serious about wanting to purchase, I have a lender. She could start with a soft pull that won't impact credit, and she could just give you a rough sense if it's feasible. If it's not, you took 15 minutes of your life. If it is, awesome. And if you needed to wait, she'll be able to tell you that there's no cost to do so and really no downside. It may make sense for you to just have a conversation with her. Is probably how I would approach it.
thank you very much, Pam.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you so much, Pam, for doing this today. I love it.
Thank you.
And that was really helpful. I think everybody enjoyed it and we'll watch the recording later, hopefully, if they missed today. And thanks everybody for coming today.
No question.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Pam.
you guys. Thank you for
So
having me.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
very
you, because
much.
it was a wealth of knowledge. It was really a wealth of knowledge, and just having this call, it made me re-engage one of my clients. That's why I sent you the email. I'm going to shoot you another email with the information so we can get some conversation started, because another lender didn't think he'd be a good fit, but he has the potential to be a fit. And I stopped working with that lender, so maybe you can help us.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you. I'm
Good.
excited about that. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. And next week, we have Universal Title coming on Friday to talk about common contract complications. That's a mouthful. So join me with Universal Title in a week. It'd be good. All right. Thanks, Pam. Thanks,
Nice.
everybody.
Happy Friday,
Thank you
everyone.
guys.
Happy
See
Thanks so
you.
much.
Friday. Bye.
Happy
Thanks, everybody.
Friday.